the SWAT program from the standpoint of catching. I mean, what are you as instructor, at least on a general basis, trying to accomplish?
Just give kids the kind of the basics of
Right.
what catching's all about. You know, listen, we go from everything over to how to take care of your gear, blocking, receiving, throwing, communication, and we get into a little bit of calling the game.
Right.
And that all goes on how the group is. I don't want to leave kids behind. This is not something to kind of blow the doors off kids, but it is a kind of an introduction
Right.
to what catching is all about.
And I would guess, because we're doing ages 10 through 12, 13, 14, 15 through 18, and the approach is very different at each level, right?
Yeah, the younger kids, well, the 10U, they don't have the drop third strike, so
Right.
they're kind of their setup. You know, their primary and secondary positions are a little different. But 11, 12, you start introducing some big time throwing a little bit, and then once it gets to the big field, then it's now you're talking about plays at the plate a little bit more, a lot more communication, because there's not as much, I would say, chaos as there is on the little field.
Right.
So
Exactly.
they need to be a little bit more leadership once they get on the big field. If I can start introducing it at 11 and 12, it would be outstanding, but sometimes that's not always the case. So
Would you consider like something like shaping pitches? Is that something you even teach at the younger level?
I talk about receiving and I don't even use the word framing. It's
Right.
You know, we talk about sticking the pitch a lot. It's not about, okay, we got to frame this, frame that. I'm not about framing pitches. I don't want to try to. It's like an illusion. I'm just trying to stick the ball right where it's at and give the umpire and tell the kids to give the umpire a good look.
Right. And blocking, obviously it's important at all levels. Even the little guys are taking off on pitches that get by the catcher. So talk about the importance of blocking.
The most important thing as a catcher is to receive, block, and then throw. But the way I teach it is to block, receive, and throw. And the reason for that is I want to take the shock and the fear of the baseball out of the kid. Once I teach a kid to block, even if it's in practice, I feel like I can accelerate everything else, teaching that kid everything else that there is about catching, because I get his trust. And they get to learn to trust the gear. This is another thing that they can do that they see a catcher in the big leagues doing. You know, not too many kids are watching guys throw people out, but receiving and the blocking part of it, it's pretty much the same as what they would see on TV.
Right. Talk about throwing a bit, because I know even young catchers to brag about if they have a good arm, they can get the ball a second pretty quickly, but maybe not always in the prettiest fashion.
Yeah. Kids that say that, I always say, well, can you block and receive first? And because if you can't block and receive, I don't really care about your arm.
Right.
Especially when you're younger. Oh, he throws everybody out, but he's always going back to the backstop. That doesn't impress me.
Right.
Now, when we do get to the actual throwing techniques, I want to make sure that our most important thing is to be accurate. I'm not talking about, hey, we got to get a pop time under 2, or listen, pop times it's not real important right now. But we want to be dead accurate, and as you get older, develop some athleticism, get your feet a little bit faster, and train your body what to do, then you can speed up. Where people are trying to speed up right now, and they throw with very, very bad mechanics, and that's not what I want to do.
Right. I know we talk about promoting proper muscle memory. I mean, obviously, the earlier you get into this program, the better.
Yeah.
When you talk about muscle memory.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the kids. There's 4 steps on the proper blocking position. I tell the kids it's the first thing that hits the ground is our glove. Our glove is our anchor. Wherever our glove goes, our body follows. Then we drive our knees down wide. Our throwing hand goes behind our glove, and then we tuck our chin and we breathe out. This is something that they can do on their own. They can I tell them, get in front of a mirror,
Right.
practice your stances, and practice your blocking position, because you want to learn to trust your gear right away. Because if a kid gets hit in the throat, first couple weeks blocking back there, he's never going to catch again. Or if I can get him very comfortable with me doing it, then it's really going to take off. And that's what it's about. It's doing the same thing over and over. People are like, oh, we want to listen, master the basics. Then we'll worry about the hard stuff later. But the kids always want to jump ahead of things. But if we can block and receive, we're going to be all right.
Okay. The winter's a good time to do this type of training, right? I mean, through the course of a season, you're trying to accomplish a lot of things, and sometimes you don't have time to work on every little detail. But the winter's a good time for that, right?
Yeah, because you can break down just the littlest stuff. It's my stance. I want to present a better target. Those are the little things that I harp on the kids for, especially in the winter. I want to drive those little things home. So during the season, they get away from me a little bit. Maybe they get away from what I'm teaching by 30%.
Right.
I can hone that back in. Okay, your glove position. Don't never hide the pocket from the pitcher. Those little things get your target a little bit lower, about as high as your knees. If I can just quickly adjust those, that's when I know. Okay, my job is I'm doing the right thing for the kid. And I get calls from the parents. Hey, during the season, what should we do? Come in every couple weeks, just a little cleanup, and we'll be all right. No, don't panic. Oh, he's not doing. Well, listen, he's 12. He's blocking already. He's receiving everything. Oh, he's not throwing everybody out. Well, don't worry about it.
Right.
Let's block, receive are the two most important things. First of all, don't worry about the throwing. The throwing will come.
Right. All right. So, kind of a recap. I mean, you can give me a recap. For a kid that comes into this program, what would you say you'd want him to take away from it? I mean, even if it's basic, just to walk away from the SWAT program and say, I now can do the following.
I can put my gear on correctly,
Which is a big thing.
Which is half the
at
battle.
a young age.
I can receive and I can block, and I know basic footwork to throw the ball to second base. The most important thing, if I can teach a kid to block, that's my goal. Receiving part of it they'll get, but if I can teach a kid to full out block with me throwing overhand at the very end of it, then I know I've done a pretty good job.
Excellent. Well, good. Anything we want to
No.
add, man?
Anything?
I think
No.
Cameraman?
It's good.
Spielberg?
It's good. It's gonna be awesome.